Loretta joined Rotary in 1994, and she served as our district governor in 2014 to 2015. Currently, she serves as a district training and education co-chair from 2023 to 2026 and club global community services chair. She is a charter president of the Rotary Club of Templeton and serves as a current member of the Rotary Club of Atascadero. Her international humanitarian work has taken her to northern Nigeria in 2005 with a district delegation to participate in National Immunization Days. That's the NID that she was talking about. She has traveled to Uganda, representing District 5240 Rotarians responsible for a significant grant to provide furnishings and supplies for a medical clinic and living facilities for staff in a remote village. She has been recognized as Rotarian of the Year. She is a major donor, multiple Paul Harris Fellow, a Rotarian Foundation benefactor, and a member of the Paul Harris Society. Wow, quite a lot there, Loretta.
Yeah.
Everyone, please welcome Loretta.
Thank you, guys. Thank you. Thanks for joining us today. And hopefully you are enjoying the various breakout sessions and that you had an opportunity to hear Mike McGovern this morning talk about our polio eradication efforts. Things are rapidly changing there, and we have some challenges ahead. And I think that Mike made that very clear. But if you saw the release from Rotary International, you know what they posted about mid-February, I think it was, about their position on these various changes that are have been coming our way for the last few weeks. So anyway, we're going to talk a little bit about community service and partnering with your community. And this is going to be more or less a how-to. So we're just going to kind of take you through some of the steps that we have found have been effective in putting a community service project together. So as I'm sure you know, or if you don't, you have a responsibility. You and your club have a responsibility as Rotarians to find ways to look at your community and also look at your community from the standpoint of how can we be of help? How can we help you? Now, I am the chair in my club of the international service, but I don't call it international service any more than I did call it a few years ago when I was governor. To me, international and community service are combined, and that's why I call it global community service. So we're going to focus today on your own communities, but if you think about it, we are really supporting the global community in international projects in our own backyard. And I think if we stop putting us and them, those who only want to serve the international community, only those that want to serve your local community, take that away and think of it as a whole, I think we would be much better off going forward. So community service obviously encourages and fosters the ideal of service, and that is what we are all about. We are about service above self. So you've seen that expression, we are people of action, and taking action is a step-by-step approach when it comes to service projects. First, you need to plan the project and then look at the resources that you have available to you, implement the project, promote the project, and then evaluate its results. This is a very simple approach, but it can be, depending on the size of your project, it can be a bit detailed and a bit daunting as well. So I think what we need to do initially is to just ask some questions of your members, ask some questions of your club leadership as you look at a project in your community. Is this a one-time deal? I mean, are we gonna go and serve at barbecue at the park? Or is it a project that you are considering that is going to be a continuing project. In other words, we're going to set up a program with the schools where members of our club go in and we read to kindergartners and first graders, and we provide the books for them. That would not be a one-time project. That would be something that we would set up with our local school. And we would do that on a regular basis, once a week, once a month, whatever you worked out with your teachers in the school district. Are your members passionate about the project or just kind of lukewarm? You need to have buy-in from your membership. And if they're not passionate about it, then you're not going to get the resources, the volunteers and so forth from your club members that you might need. You need a driver. I use the term driver as opposed to champion. You need someone who's going to drive the project. When I was president and when I was governor, I had people coming to me all the time saying, I think we should do such and such. That would be, and I'd say, that's a really good idea. Are you going to drive it? In other words, don't just come with the idea, but come with the idea and your passion, if it's something you're passionate about, and saying, yes, I will drive this project. It takes at least one individual, maybe a committee, to continue to move the project forward. Is it going to be, will it generate good publicity for your club or for the beneficiary that you're serving? Will the project require funding? Let's go back to this reading it at the schools. Yeah, it'll require a little bit of funding because we're going to buy books and we're going to give out the books to the children that we read to on that day. What are your community resources that are available? What other organizations could you involve? Could you involve other service clubs, Kiwanis, Lions? What are your community resources? And then is there a sustainability plan? Is this, if it's a one-shot deal, then, there is no sustainability plan. But if it is something that, excuse me, if it's something that you do from the standpoint of, let's say you are going to put together a community garden or a peace garden or something of that nature. Once you go in and you create the project, then who's going to continue to take care of it? So thinking through not just what we do, but what happens to the project once we step away. And we do this very, very seriously as we look at our global communities and as we do projects in other countries and so forth. It's really, really important to take a look at the project sustainability. If we put a water well in, say, for instance, excuse me, well, we can arrange to have the well put in, but who's going to maintain it? Who's going to make sure that it's functioning? So that's what we mean about sustainability. And when you get into grants and looking for funding for your project, from a Rotary Foundation standpoint, the sustainability factor is really, really important. That's what they're looking for. Okay, so as you start, what you want to do first is find out if there's a need. Is there a need? Or is there not? In other words, we had a situation where a club actually was providing dictionaries, and it's a great project, and I know a lot of clubs do that. And every year they would provide dictionaries. I think it was to second or third graders. And that was an ongoing function of that particular club. But one year they got some leadership in there that went to the teacher and said, we spend a considerable amount of money buying dictionaries and so forth for the classes every year. Is there something else that might be more useful to you with that same amount of money or some funding of that magnitude? Oh, yeah, there is. we could use, I can't remember what it was, but like some type of it was an iPad or something like that. And so the club basically had just been functioning on this track for a number of years without really going in and saying, how about if we did something a little bit different? Is there something we could help you with? And it's amazing. I mean, when you go in and to say, oh, well, we'd like to provide dictionaries to all your students, are they going to say no? Probably not. But if you say, how can we help you? And how can we maybe better serve you in your classrooms? That might open the door. So conducting your assessment to find out if A, what you've been doing is something that you still should be doing, and B, what do you need? How can we help you? Next, you want to design the project based on the assessment that's been done and make a plan. Again, looking at who your partners are in your community. Obviously, it's your members, but it might be other Rotary clubs in the northern part of the district. We have 2 clubs in Paso Robles. We have a club in Templeton. We have a club in Atascadero. So there are 4 of us that many times will go together and work on a project. One of them most recently, and for the last several years, is working on a project called Coach for Kids. And all 4 of our clubs work with the organization that puts that program together. And coats and sweaters and good and nice warm clothing are available to families at a little before Christmas. And then there's another organization that collects the toys. And so the family comes in and they can select jackets and sweatshirts and so forth. And then go over to the toys and secure toys for the children for Christmas. So that's a project that we have been doing for several years, working in connection with the nonprofit that puts the organization of that project together, basically, and other Rotary clubs. And I think it's might be Kiwanis, I think, who does the toys. So funding your project, again, that's something we'll get into. Managing the project, evaluating the project, and then, let's tout our success. Let's let people know what we're doing. Rotary has a great tool here, and I had heard about this, and I'm not actually spent much time with it. But if you look at if you go to the Rotary my Rotary website, and you put in conducting community assessments, it's going to bring up this manual. And it's fairly extensive, and Rotary is not asking you to go through all of these different steps. I think it's 40 some odd pages long. But it's very, very effective in doing your community assessment. Again, if you are applying for a global grant, this is going to be mandatory. This is what they're going to want to see. So working with the members of your community, using the conducting community assessment manual. Community assessments help identify solutions to real problems. And it also helps you think outside of the box in ways to support your community. And it also encourages you to establish new relationships in your community that you could partner with going forward. Again, go to Rotary, the Rotary website, My Rotary, go into My Rotary, and then look for conducting community assessments. Who has done a community assessment for a project? Anybody? Yes? No? Maybe? Okay, well, it doesn't have to be this extensive, but I encourage you to bring this up when you have some time and just walk through it. And for smaller projects and so forth, you don't have to go, jump through all of the hoops for a community assessment. You can make it much simpler. But that concept of identifying the needs of your community is really, really important. to start out. So one of the things that we want to keep in mind, of course, are the 7 areas of focus. So when you're designing and planning your project, keep in mind the 7 areas of focus. Promoting peace and conflict resolution. That could be as simple as a program at the school with issues relating to bullying or gangs. I had a conversation with an elderly Rotarian one day who was concerned about, not concerned, but he didn't really understand promoting peace and conflict resolution. He just didn't understand why that was even on the list. And so as we got talking, I said, well, do you have any issues in your community? Excuse me, any issues in your community that you might put under that heading? And he said, no, I don't think so. You know, we're a small community, everybody gets along. I said, do you, and I knew this because of news reports. I said, do you have any gang issues? Tagging, anything like that? Well, yeah. Yeah, we got that. So anyway, bringing him around to seeing that there are needs in their community that we might be able to help with. And it would fall under number 1, fighting disease, providing clean water and sanitation and hygiene. There are parts of this state where water is a real issue. I mean, in Atascadero, we have a situation where they have determined that there are some elements in the water supply that they are addressing, and they'll get that taken care of. But in the meantime, we are having to take alternative measures. So to say, okay, well, clean water, sanitation, and hygiene, that only affects third world countries. No, it affects us right here in our own backyard. Saving mothers and children, supporting education. We do a lot of that in Rotary in this district, not the least of which is all the scholarship money that we donate at the end of the year to graduating students. Growing local economies, that is something that we could do more of, I think, in supporting small businesses and maybe creating an event where stroll the downtown, do business locally, that kind of thing, setting up a community service project that deals with helping the local businesses to grow. And of course, protecting the environment is something that is very popular, especially with our younger members. Excuse me, and our members that are in Rotaract and Interact. They're very concerned about the environment. And so looking at ways that you can generate interest in the environment. There was one project that I became aware of. It was that they planted a pollination garden and planted specific plants that were attractive to bees and you know other insects that help to pollinate not just that garden, but in the broader area of the community. I'm sure you've seen this illustration. It basically talks about the all of the areas of focus. And the way I look at this is you could almost take that top one, the peace building and conflict prevention, and you could almost move it to the very center. Because my feeling is that if we address the environment, if we do things for our local communities to help them develop, to help educate our children, to keep our families healthy and safe, and our drinking water pure, and making sure that people have the opportunity to get treatment if they're ill, or take preventative measures. All of those other areas, those 6 areas, will promote peace and prevent conflict. That's just my take. So designing your project, you want to align your project with at least one of the areas of focus. And based on the assessment, I mean, it could be, your project could deal with 2 or 3 or 4, or all of the areas of focus, depending on what it was. So you want to look at, excuse me, your assessment, and on the concerns of your community, which you will gather through that assessment, what available resources, or what resources are available to you. And probably one of the biggest points is your club's interest. If you have 1 or 2 people that want to do something and your club is not behind you, it's going to be very difficult to drive that, and probably end up being rather frustrating. So set your project goals. You want to guide those goals by the community's objectives that have come out through that assessment, and take a look at what's the positive lasting change that your community partners hope will be the ultimate impact of our work. So however we're proceeding with our projects, we want to keep going back and saying, are we on target? Are we on track? The community, we're working with the community to do such and such. Are we still on track, or have we veered off? Are we going off into a different direction? And some of that could be based on pushback from other areas of the community. It could be pushback from your club members. So you just want to make sure that you're staying on track, you're staying on target. So preparing your plan, what does a plan do? It explains what you want to accomplish. It pretty much details what your funding resources are going to be, if it is going to require funding. It evaluates additional resources. What are some of the other organizations in your community that you might have access to that could help through volunteers, or through PR, or through supporting fundraisers? There are many, many opportunities in your community to partner. You want a project that you can evaluate and measure the potential risks for completion of the project. One consideration might be weather. Okay, so we're going to have this 5K run, and we're going to have it on the Saturday, the such and such of February. And oh wait, what happens if it rains, or if it's so cold, or it snows, or whatever? Keep in mind what the potential risks could be for completion of that project. In addition to that, you might run into some issues with the funding. Well, so-and-so said that they were going to give us a grant for, X amount of dollars. Oh, what? Wait, no, they said, no, they can't do that anymore. It didn't pass the board. So again, be realistic, be pragmatic about your project, and look at potential risks that it might face. You want to estimate a timeline for completion of the project. We talked today with Mike McGovern. Our timeline when we started this Polio Plus operation was the year 2000. The year 2000. That was what was in the original plan. Well, here we are, 2025. So that wasn't realistic, but they kept, we've kept going back and readjusting our timeline based on the progression of the project. But to start out, yes, in your plan, do try to make a reasonable timeline for completion of the project. Your members will appreciate that. We had a situation where, and this kind of deals with a couple of different different points here. We had a great idea, one of our presidents, and full buy-in from the club. We meet at the Atascadero Lake, and there's a pavilion at the lake, and people walk around the lake. And so the idea was, we are going to have a community project, and we're going to put lights around the lake. Everybody thought that was a great idea, and we were going to sell the lights. You could sponsor a light, and it started out really great. And then a couple of the neighbors sold their houses, and it changed hands, and the new people came in and said, we don't want lights in front of our house. So we had to modify, make changes, be flexible, whatever. We had intended to light the lake. We ended up mainly lighting the park. So, that was a situation where we had a timeline, and because of some of the complications that arose, again, I don't even know that we anticipated that the neighbors, because we had buy-in from the city and the neighborhood and the whole thing. And we still ran into issues. So we have some great lights around the lake, but not all around the lake. And again, the addressing the sustainability of your project. Is this a one-time shot? When it's done, in this situation that I'm talking about, the city had agreed to maintain the lights going forward once they were installed. There's been discussion about maybe starting it again because the people that were resisting are no longer living there. So there's been some discussion about it again, because we still think it's a great project. Any questions so far? Has anybody had a project that they tried to get off the ground and ran into some problems along the way to its completion? No? Everybody's good? Wow. We can talk to you. Okay. So now you've made your plan, and it's time to make your presentation to your club members. And what you want to do is present your plan and not an idea. So they'll be much more receptive if they see that you put the time and energy into developing a plan for this project. And your buy-in, I think, is going to be much greater than just throwing an idea out there. Because you throw an idea and then says, well, yeah, but how about my idea? You want to stress the benefits for the target group, the recipients, the participants, the community, and your club. Think that through. What's going to be the benefits? Maybe one of the benefits is working together as a group in your club, getting people who have not been so involved for the last several years, get them re-engaged in the club. As far as the community is concerned, being out there and letting the community know that Rotary is there. Rotary is in their community, and we're there to serve and to help and to meet your needs. Don't forget to address or anticipate, hopefully, any concerns that your members might come up with. The pushback factor, time, cost, level involvement, commitment, size of the project. And again, in your plan, you want to have looked at the cost benefit ratio. Is this project going to be of enough benefit that it justifies the cost, not just in money, but in volunteer hours? Okay, what else we got here? Okay, so you want to make your connections of the plan to the club's other activities and culture. So let's just say you have a club, and trust me, there are so many different cultures in the, I guess, 68 Rotary clubs that we have in our district now. Just about every club has a different culture. And again, as many of you know, when you're a district governor, part of what you do is you visit every single club. And we did. When I was governor, my husband was my driver, so people would tease us and say he was driving Miss Daisy. But in essence, we put 26,000 miles on our car that year. So yeah, we covered the district pretty thoroughly. And that's where I can say with confidence, there are so many different cultures in the 4 counties that we cover in this Rotary district. So your plan should have some connection to your club's culture and the types of activities that they enjoy doing. Are they a club that likes to have barbecues? Are they, well, maybe they could, do a first responder barbecue for the firemen and the police officers once a year. And you do that every year, and you recognize the work that they do for you and your community. Some clubs don't have anybody that or the ability to hold a barbecue fundraiser, not fundraiser, but recognition. Look at others and mention others who you have spoken to who are also committed to this project. That also helps so that your members know they're not the ones that have to be, pulling the entire load of this project. There are other people that you have spoken to and have made commitments to help accomplishing this project. And then include in the plan the scope of the project, the budget and funding, the timeline, the communication, and not the least of which is how you're going to celebrate it. How are you going to get the information out through public relations? All right. Oops, did that already. So you want to form partnerships with your members and local organizations, and your partners can contribute their own expertise and resources, expand your reach through your partnerships, and certainly it's going to increase the impact of many factors: time, funding, and volunteers. So, and use your Rotary resources and consider collaborations with other Rotary clubs. I mentioned how Coats for Kids was a 4-club project. I mean, it wasn't just our project. We stepped in to help this nonprofit, but they needed lots of volunteer hours, going out and collecting, setting up the bins to collect the coats, going out and getting the coats, taking them to the cleaners, getting them from the cleaners over to the distribution site, setting up the racks, hanging all of the coats, being there on the day of distribution to work with the families to go around and select the items that they chose, and then wrapping everything up, taking it all down, putting it away. So 4 clubs were involved in that effort, in addition to a lot of community members. But in doing so, we became a very visible partner to the community. And we are already looking at how we can do that next year, this year, I guess it is now, and do it even better. We're not taking on the project, but we are taking on a major portion of the volunteer work that that they need.
Yeah, excuse me, Loretta.
Yeah.
You wanted me to remind you when it was 12:55?
Okay. Are we at 12:55?
Yes, it is.
Oh, okay. So we'll do this very quickly. Couple of ways of funding your project: through district grants and your club's district designated funds, for those are small scale. Global grants, you can fund a community project with a global grant. But that is at least a $30,000 project that you would need to be doing. So look at other sources, special events, local government grants. For Codes for Kids, we get a grant from the Board of Supervisors every year. I mean, the project does. Individual donors, nonprofits, other nonprofits, and NGOs, corporate sponsors. Look at your businesses. Look at the corporate sponsors possibilities, other foundations, and then other clubs in your group and in your district. So clear communication as you're managing your project. Keep people informed. That's basically what this is all about. Monitor your expenses to budget. Take steps to address any variances where your expenses are exceeding your budget. Ask your core support group for feedback, what they're seeing as the project is being developed, and do you need to make any changes, improve something to make your project successful or more successful. And then, like I say, keep track of how many people are involved, how the targets might be changing. Use interviews or surveys for the people who are benefiting from the project to ask them whether they're seeing the changes that they had envisioned. And then again, the final phase is the evaluation of the project. Did you reach your goals? How was the project changed the community? Hopefully in every way that they had hoped. Were the things that could have been done differently? Were there times when you may have needed to be more flexible or even change your strategy? And then analyze the project from the standpoint of what went well and what didn't, and what could be done or improved on in the future. And then also promoting your successes. This is important. The media is a very effective way, of course, in your community to get word out. And identifying the contacts and developing the relationships. They talked about this in the branding session, developing relationships with community-related news on local radio, television stations, newspapers, and magazines. Create a relationship with the people who that is the area in which they cover. Prepare a press release, have developed materials that you can give to the media, and photos. Don't forget your social media resources. Again, something came up in the branding area is that young people don't use Facebook. They use Instagram. So keep in mind who your audience is, and then complete your district awards criteria for community service. And I'm giving you the path down there on how to find it, but this is page 5. These are the areas that the district is going to ask you about for your recognition at the awards presentation at Sherry's step down. And these are some of your Rotary showcase, your resources. You're going to hear a minute about Epic Day of Service. These are, good. These are links that you can go to and just connect. Service Project Center. That is something I just found out about. It's a wonderful place on the RI website. Another is not RI related, but Thriving Communities Network and the Rotary Community Corps. That's through Rotary International. Now I would like to introduce to you somebody that has been working on community service for a while, to the point of creating a program that I think is really exciting, and that's Brianna Sherman. And Brianna is from the Denver Metro South Rotary Club. She's the immediate past president, so 23-24. Brianna was at the Southwest Pets a couple weeks ago, and that's where our DGE, Mike Mike Dutra, met her and made the recommendation that we might want to take a look at what they're doing in Epic Day of Service. So Brianna is on the Board of Trustees. She was one of the originators of this project, and she is also the Global Expansion Chair. So Brianna, take it.
Thanks, Loretta. Thank you guys for having me. Yes, I had the honor of being at Southwest Pets and presented at the Zone Institute as well this year. Our focus right now is to expand through the Big Zone West. Dan Himmelspach and Win Spiller for Zone 26-27 have really found that Epic Day of Service really meets all the criteria of Rotary International is looking for. So I'll try to keep this quick and make sure we get out of here on time. Loretta, you can switch to the next slide. Why Epic? What is the Epic Day of Service? It's a membership magnet for your club. It's an unbelievable PR and PI opportunity for your club and district. It's a great way to engage all the members in your club on one day and bring them back to excitement about service in the community. We have created a fundraising aspect to it. In addition, it's a turnkey program that's been completely built by Rotarian volunteers. We have found over the 3 years that the Epic Day addresses all of the Rotary Action Plan items, which I'll go into in a minute. And Win and Dan have decided that they really want to be a trend-setting zone and really have as many clubs participate as possible and show the rest of the zones and world what we can do through service. Next. Just to touch real quick on the 4 Rotary International initiatives is, one of the focuses is exposing Rotary to the public. So expand our reach through positive PR. When you talk about one day of global service all over the world, imagine what the news media feels about that. When we talk about bringing the community in to serve with Rotarians, and everywhere you turn, no matter what city or country you're in, you see blue shirts along the side of the road, in schools. Guess what? News stations want to talk about that, and especially when you're talking about bringing the community in to serve alongside. Doing more good, obviously, just increasing our impact, showing the community what Rotary does all year long. We're people of service, people of action, as Loretta said earlier. And so we serve all year long, but I think people forget that, and they associate us more with kind of a check writing organization or business networking, et cetera. So we're trying to bring service back to the forefront of who the community sees us as. Just our ability to adapt and bring community into service and into Rotary. And guess what? That gives you an opportunity to potentially recruit new members or re-engage members that haven't been that excited about Rotary anymore or just kind of sit in the background. And then lastly is just to enhance participation and celebrating your Rotarians for all showing up in one big movement and what that impact will have. Next slide. So what is Epic? Epic is a grassroots organization. It was started by Rotarians. The first 2 years were in the Northeast. It was off of Shaker Mehta's year where he said, hey, everyone, we need to show up and we need to serve the community again. And 2 district governors in the East decided that they wanted to try and get as many clubs together to do one day of service. And in year 2, there were a couple of us in Colorado that decided we wanted to do a day of service. And in doing research, we found them. And so we've aligned and partnered together. Next slide. So in our 3rd year, which was last year, Epic Day of Service, we actually made it into 7 countries, onto 4 continents. We had 21 districts participate, approximately 1,264 clubs, and around 36, that says Rotarians, but Rotarians and community volunteers. So this is moving quickly and it's changing fast, and that's what's getting noticed at the higher level in Rotary. And over the 3 years, what we have found is what I said earlier: membership engagement and recruitment. Fundraising is a new aspect, which I'll talk about, but the PR that we've been getting for Rotary has been huge. Next slide. So why one day? Everybody asks us this. Why not a month of service? Why not a week of service? Why not 3 months of service? Well, one day is the most impactful, right? How do you have the most impact? And like I said, get the news and the media to really pay attention to what we're doing is the idea that one day is so much more of a challenge than doing a month of service. We understand that clubs and districts will always have challenges with the date that is chosen. For now, it's always going to be the third Saturday in May. So this year it's May 17th, as you see on the slide. But what we encourage is anybody that participates in the Epic Day of Service, when I talk about the website, is as long as your project's within the window, maybe 3 weeks before, 3 weeks after, and it's registered on the Epic Day of Service website, you will be considered part of the Epic Day and be a part of the statistics. I already said it's a PR bonanza. It's a turnkey program. We've built everything into the website, including resources, all the things Loretta talked about. We actually have the whole resource guide that we're finalizing right now. Membership recruitment, community engagement, and club collaboration has been one of the biggest things that we have seen through Epic Day of Service. So we all know that clubs within districts can end up getting a little bit siloed and say, well, we do it this way, you do it that way, we do this, you do that. We're finding that clubs are really enjoying collaborating together and coming together, and we're seeing district growth come out of that. Next slide. So it's super easy to participate as a club. You find a club champion. As Loretta said, she said a driver, same difference. You register on the Epic Day site. I'm sorry, I know I'm moving kind of quick, but I want to make sure we're out by 2:10. We have a global map. So the global website that we have built, which launched about 3 weeks ago, is where you go, you register your project. You see the map on this slide. You'll see all the red pinpoints where community members or your own Rotarians can go and drill down and search for your project by city, by zip code, or find the red pin. You see an explanation of the project, gives community and Rotarians an opportunity to sign up, and then invite members and your community to sign up, and they'll go right to the website. One of the other amazing things that we've built into the site is back-end data metrics. So you're at the club level and at the district level, you'll get reports on how many members participated, how many community members, what was your impact, what was your reach. And that is both district and club level. Next slide. One of the other cool things that we've built in, which is completely optional, is when your Rotarians register as to serve with you, they'll get a personal fundraising page. Again, this is totally optional. They don't have to use it. The idea is a lot like a Susan G. Komen cancer walk, where you send it out to your friends. Hey, I'm serving on this epic day in an epic way so that my club foundation can serve all year long. Would you consider donating to me because I'm serving alongside 36,000 other Rotarians and 36,000 communities all over the world? So it's all built in. It's all templated. Nobody has to do anything with it at all. You can customize the pages or you don't have to. And the idea is you send an email out to all your friends and family. It differs from your traditional fundraiser because it reaches communities outside of like a golf tournament or a peach sale, etc. And again, you get all the metrics on that. It goes through our foundation, automatically sends out a tax receipt. It's all built into the system. Next slide. I know I'm at about 30 seconds, I think. We have a full resource page, and the resource page has things like flyers, club roadmaps, district roadmaps, how to participate, how to identify a service project, PR releases. Denver, the Colorado district last year got a 3.5-minute primetime live news segment with the top news anchor talking about Epic Day of Service, which was huge for Rotary in Denver. Next slide. Who are we? We are a grassroots organization. We are all Rotarians. We are all 100% volunteer. We built this website and this Epic Day of Service as an effort to bring Rotary together and positive PR and visibility out to the world and to grow membership and remind the world that Rotary exists and we're everywhere and we're all ages and we're all demographics. So that is what Epic is. And I think I have one more slide. And I think I nailed it on time.
You're good.
So we do have open mic informative calls. These are the Pacific Standard ones. I apologize. I realized after I sent this to Loretta, I duplicated the April 16th date. This is a great way to attend a call, hear what other clubs are doing. It's all about collaboration. It's about you guys. What are your challenges? How can we help? What tools do you need? And then I put the QR code for our launch video. It's about 34 minutes long, but it tells the whole story of Epic Day. Okay.
Okay, so what I want to remind people is, and thank you, Brianna, I'm sorry that
That's
you
okay.
didn't go through that so quickly, but all of these sessions are being recorded, and you can certainly go back and listen to them again. They will be on the district website fairly soon, we hope. That's an objective of ours, is to get these loaded on the district website. So people can go in and basically look at any one of these breakout sessions. So if there was, there were 2 that you wanted to go to and they were at the same time, no worries. You can go into the district website and watch them all. And you can also see this information from Brianna and follow up on that. So with that, I want to thank you all for your time, and I hope it gave you some resources and some food for thought in how you put your service together for your local communities, and as you look at your global community as well. So thank you again, and you all have a great rest of the day. There's one more segment coming up for avenues of service. No, that's us.
It's the district and club
It's the
leadership
district and club leadership, that's right. And
Yeah.
So you may not have a role in that leadership. You may not be in that leadership role, but that doesn't mean that you wouldn't want to sit in on club service. I mean, club service, club secretary or club treasurer. They both do a really, really good job. So anyway, thank you very much, and see ya.